So, learning how to really become your own best audience member is such a massive part of this concept of happy editing. While this definitely sounds, a little easier said than done, I want to share with you a couple practical tips that I've learned along the way to really make this abstract concept of disassociation a lot more approachable. So, number one is you have to forget everything that's beyond the frame. All the behind the scenes details, the memory of all the planning, all the work it took to get one shot or another when you were on set. You have to forget about all of it. This is especially important when you are both the director and the editor of a project, because, if you start making editing decisions because of how much you thought a certain shot would work instead of seeing things for what they are, you can't be as objective as you should be. And this concept really comes from the book In the Blink of an Eye. Editing legend Walter Murch really articulates this concept. And he says, the director, of course, is the person most familiar with all the things that went on during the shoot. So he is most burdened with this surplus beyond the frame information. Between the end of shooting and before the first cut is finished, the very best thing that can happen to the director and the film is that he say goodbye to everyone and disappear for 2 weeks. Wherever he goes, he should try to think as much as possible about things that have absolutely nothing to do with the film, so that when he first sees the film, he can say, all right, I'm going to pretend that I had nothing to do with this film. It needs some work. What needs to be done? Whenever the timeline allows, really take a couple days if you can away from everything. Don't jump straight into the edit because you'll make decisions based on your excitement of the set. Do what you can to really extract yourself from that experience and then come back fresh. After hours and days of trimming, rearranging, watching your project in the context of the editing software, it begins to get hard not to sort of see the layers and all of the details surrounding, the technical aspects of the edit. And so I found that the fastest way around this problem is really to export my projects and force myself into an audience perspective by watching it on a completely separate device altogether. For me, most of the time, I choose my phone. I do that because my phone is where I'm used to consuming content. Whether it's on social media or YouTube or anything else, I'm very familiar with what a good edit feels like on my phone. What grabs my attention, what doesn't. And so by playing back my own edits for myself on my phone, I'm really able to get an immediate and very real sense of the context of what's working, what's not working. And it's really this step that I attribute to saving me more time than anything else. Because, when you're an audience member, you're not thinking about layers or cuts or time code. You're just experiencing. And so this step of forcing yourself into an audience perspective, via phone or computer or TV or whatever it is such a massively critical part of the process. And finally, tip number 3, which may sound cliche and simple, but it's true, is that you have to put in the reps. When you first learn to drive a car, you're looking down at all the instruments, right? Your eyes move to the tools to make sure you're doing it right because it all feels brand new. But as you grow and your driving experience turns from minutes to hours to days to years, these tools just become all a matter of muscle memory. And all that matters really at that point is the journey itself, right? You're able to make movements with your hands and your feet without sacrificing your attention to the road itself. But the only way that you've gotten there as a driver is by putting in practice. You have to get so comfortable with your keyboard shortcuts, with your mouse strokes, with your movements, that you're able to more objectively watch the project without getting distracted by the details of the software. And the goal of, really putting in the reps is to get so good that you can almost run an edit on autopilot while the right side of your brain processes all the emotional elements that really matter in your project. I want my hands to be editors and my head, my brain, to be an audience member. My hope for the course moving forward is that you'll be able to look over our shoulders and really watch us put in those reps and sort of get familiar with how that muscle memory feels. But until we get there, let's keep going on these topics of the mindset and those mindset principles so you can shortcut this whole process like crazy and understand the why. But as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and happy editing.